it's more like, wow, this is really possible? It's more astonished than I think people are more like, oh, I think it's more starting a reflection process. Maybe I can really do something like this as well in my organization or with my life or something like that. So do something that I really believe in instead of just following the normal path. I'm Christian. I'm the founder and CEO of Ecosia, the search engine that plants trees. Yeah, so our mission is to plant as many trees as possible because we want to make the world a greener and better place for everyone. And yeah, for that we're trying to get as many users as possible to use our search engine because this is how we generate the money for the tree planting. I started Ecosia 9 years ago now, basically because I wanted to do something good for the planet. So before starting it, I traveled quite a bit and I lived in Nepal for half a year and then also in South America for 1 year. And I realized the destruction that is happening to our planet and also how unjust our current system is. Yeah. So actually, when I started the company, I already knew that I'm not doing this for the money, so I didn't want to sell the company or take a lot of profit out of the company. So in a way, that was already in the DNA, but that was just a promise in the beginning. So the bigger Ecosia grew, the more I felt the responsibility, and also my co-owner Tim, we started sitting down and started talking about that this is becoming bigger than us, that this is really becoming a movement. And somehow it doesn't feel right that there are people who could own or potentially sell a movement. So that's when we realized, okay, actually it would be the right step now to turn this, give this to something that is not us. And we just wanted to make sure that it's an entity that can never be destroyed by anyone. And in a way, I now feel that I have given Ecosia to planet Earth because in our statute it says that the company has the objective to do good for the planet and the people. So, and that can never be changed. So my feeling is now that it actually belongs to everyone and not to us anymore. I still feel very much the responsibility that I want to make it grow as big as possible. I realized the day we signed the contract, I realized that actually nothing changed because I realized that, of course, now all the opportunities for ever selling the company, that's gone. But I realized that that was never what was driving me. So for me, really not much has happened since then. But I think for some of the people in our team, maybe they believed what I was saying, what I was promising, but there was also a little question mark, and that question mark can be really important to some people who really give all their energy and an important part of their life for something that they believe in and they don't want to be destroyed. And I think there was just a big relief and also thankfulness from the team. And I think that over time will also probably reflect to the users who will step by step understand that this is now also their Ecosia, you know. So that's what I hope will happen over time, that people start understanding this difference, that this is a different kind of company. If I sold the company, then I would restart exactly the same company because I really care about what we're doing. And that does make sense. Also, I think I would betray a lot of people who really believed in what we're doing, and they trust in my promise and in the promise of Ecosia, of the brand, and yeah. Tim and I were both businessmen, and I think it's very important that we try to solve the big problems of our world through business as well. Yeah, and I think we're also both very ambitious, so we really want to solve climate change. And that, I think, at least for the challenge that we have at hand, is also very important that we're not satisfied if we just plant a few million trees, because we know that there are billions of trees lost every year. So we know that we pretty much need to be as big as Google if we want to really change something. And that is driving both of us. So I think it's really nice to have this growth ambition in a company that is doing good, because the bigger we are, the bigger our impact is going to be. And my feeling is that, yeah, as a steward, you have this, you shouldn't mess it up, but you also need to make sure that kind of there's enough ambition, and you also shouldn't, I don't know, just play it safe. So that's why I like being a businessman, and I like being a businessman with a purpose, and I think Tim thinks the same way. So I wanted Ecosia to be a for-profit company, because I don't want to depend on somebody else's money. So I don't want to go and ask people for money, even though I think what we do is very, very important. But I don't want to spend my time writing filling out long forms and sending it to an organization that then says no to what I suggested. So I really like this kind of autonomy that I have, and I really like just trying things out a new way, which you might not be allowed to do if you're actually a real non-profit. Then you might not be allowed to just make the investments that are very risky, but also could pay off really well in the future. So for me, it would just, being boxed into this non-profit category would limit my options too much. And I gladly give away all the profit that I'm making, but I wouldn't be happy with the restrictions that come with a foundation, for example. I mean, we have people who come and work at Ecosia because they really care about what Ecosia is doing. So they care about tree planting. But then the question mark, of course, is there any additional objective than just tree planting? Are we just planting trees because Christian wants to be rich at some point and sell the company? Or is it really just about the tree planting? So this is, I think most people believed me that when I told them that this is about trees, but still there could be, I don't know, just sounds too good to be true, maybe to a certain extent. And I think that question mark is now gone. So since I can't sell the company anymore, I think our team also understood that. And in addition to that, I think it also feels good for me, and I think also for them, that we're kind of trying something new, something that is maybe desperately needed in our current system, where capital is owning things that it doesn't even know what's going on in the companies anymore. So this disconnect is becoming so big, and the influence of the capital markets is becoming so big that I think we've reached a destructive point, and that needs to be changed, and we're trying something to change that. Yeah, I think if there were only steward-owned companies, then there would be no bad companies. Because why would you work on something bad if you can't take money out of it, or if you can't sell it? I mean, why would you produce weapons? I think nobody really goes to work and say, yeah, today I really want to produce weapons, or I don't know. So I think it would really make our world a better place if the only legal entity possible would be, I don't know, steward-owned companies. I think also that, I hope this transition will just happen gradually, where people realize that just money isn't really what is fulfilling humanity. Like, we are humans, we're not made to become profit maximizers, even though the system is trying, or the media is trying to tell us that we need to earn as much money as possible. I think people start to realize that there's more to life than just maximizing money. And I think this is also reflected in this type of ownership and company, you know. People go there because they like what the company is doing, not because they're being paid for suffering in a way. Yeah. So I hope that this kind of transition of society will slowly but surely happen. Nobody really said it's crazy. I think people were skeptical. I think in the beginning when I told people that I would never sell Ecosia or never take profit out of it, before we did the kind of legally binding transition to purpose, people were skeptical. Those were the non-profit people who said, yeah, you're just saying that because you want to make a lot of money in the end. And the business people said, you know, why you're not just selling it? It would be so much easier. You could make a lot of money. So nobody really believed that I would kind of go the middle way. And now that we kind of formalized it and made it legally binding and irreversible, I think people are more. Don't think they're crazy. It's more like, wow, this is really possible? It's more astonished, and I think people are more like, oh, I think it's more starting a reflection process. Maybe I can really do something like this as well in my organization or with my life or something like that. So do something that I really believe in, instead of just following the normal path. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm very sure about what I want to do, you know, but for me it's also just experimenting and trying to follow what my heart tells me, and for me it feels like the right path. It's a very unknown path because I could just follow the well-established path of exiting now that my company is worth many millions. I could just sell it and then buy a house and a big car and so on. But somehow I feel this is not the right path, at least not for me. So I want to try that new path. I think in Ecosia's case, it's a bunch of people who try to fix the world, and this is ideally how it should be, that just people try to follow a purpose.